Hi there fellow notebook connoisseurs and welcome back to another video. Today we have the Zephyrus G14 from Asus ROG in the studio, and man, this thing is packed with high-end components, making it the perfect bridge between a gaming laptop and a content creation tool. Our review unit is equipped with the latest and greatest AMD has to offer for the notebook segment at the moment. The 8-core Ryzen 9 6900HS is a more energy efficient version of last year's CPU, whereas the RX 6800S is a completely new GPU. Asus is also adding a very generous amount of 32GB of RAM and a 1TB SSD. The 14-inch QHD display is 120Hz and it's adding in some content creation goodness in the form of very high coverage for color gamuts that are often used in the creative industry, such as Adobe RGB or DCI-P3. High-end 14-inch gaming notebooks are still relatively new to the market, so even in 2022 this form factor feels very unique. Its most direct competitor would probably be Razer's Blade 14, which was also revamped for this year. And by the way, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our review on that one coming very soon. Other comparable models when it comes to specs would probably be MSI's Delta 15 or even the ROG's Strix G15. Asus went all in and gave the original G14 a very distinct and unique look. For this year's model, they slightly tweaked the chassis, which results in different speaker positions, the exchange of the Kensington lock for a micro SD card reader, and a much bigger trackpad. Our review unit again has the enemy matrix LEDs on the display lid. And while it's well implemented, it still feels kinda gimmicky, but it looks absolutely awesome and it's definitely a conversation starter. The moonlight white chassis of the G14 looks amazing. And the slightly iridescent keys and trackpad add a remarkable level of detail from ROG's design team. Both the keyboard and the trackpad look as good as they are usable, with the keyboard offering a solid tactile bump which is great for gaming and typing. The layout on the other hand it takes some time to get used to since a few of the keys aren't standard size. The trackpad is definitely benefiting from the increase in size, offering satisfying clicks and smooth navigation and gestures. The whole laptop feels very solid with almost no flex on the base unit. The used materials feel great to the touch, even though the magnesium alloy feels a bit more like plastic than metal, but it helps bring the weight down to just 1.7 kg, which makes this thing super portable. Typical for the G14, as soon as you open the lid, the base unit gets lifted up from the table, helping with airflow underneath. Apart from Thunderbolt or a wired networking connection, the G14 offers a solid amount of ports. You get 2 USB-A's, a USB-C on both sides of the device and they both offer DisplayPort support, a micro SD card reader and HDMI 2B. It is a little bit unfortunate that all of the ports had to be moved to the front of the device to make room for the cooling vents. So if you're using a wired mouse and maybe some external drives, cables can easily get in the way of your mouse movements. The SD card reader offers solid performance, but with the majority of cameras out there using standard size SD cards, the usefulness in a content creator workflow is a little bit limited. Wi-Fi performance on the other hand is great, even though this laptop uses a MediaTek card. The Windows Hello enabled webcam is nothing to write home about when it comes to quality, but it's certainly better than having no webcam at all. The included power brick is quite small for a 240 watt unit, but it's quite weighty, adding around 600 grams to the whole package with the laptop. Upgradability is a bit of a mixed bag. You get access to one SODIMM slot that is occupied by a 16GB DDR5 module in our unit. The rest is sold to the motherboard, and one M.2 slot which houses a 1TB NVMe SSD in our unit. Asus is again using liquid metal and a massive vapor chamber to keep things from getting too hot for the CPU and GPU. If that works, we will see in our testing. One of the main attractions for the G14 is its 16:10 QHD display. Such high resolution in a relatively small display size makes for a very clear and sharp image. While contrast could be better, almost 500 nits of maximum brightness makes this thing usable under almost all lighting conditions. The 120Hz refresh rate makes everything from navigating the desktop to playing games feel incredibly smooth and very responsive. content creators benefit from full coverage for DCI-P3 and very solid numbers for even Adobe RGB. This means the G14 can easily be used as a portable workstation for Adobe apps or for other creative workflows. Even though the 14-inch laptop is quite small, it packs a massive amount of performance. You can easily tweak the device to your heart's desire by using ROG's Armoury Crate software. It can look a little bit overwhelming at first, but it is well implemented and offers speedy performance, making it one of the better softwares to control your device out there. It offers you a few different profiles for handling CPU and GPU power levels, so please head on over to our written review of the G14 to get a detailed breakdown of all the profiles we used in our testing. While the new Ryzen 9 6900HS isn't as much as an upgrade as Intel's new Alder Lake platform, it still offers solid performance in both single-core and multi-core applications, and it can keep up those numbers over longer periods of time. It's not as fast as Intel's new chip lineup, but those need much more power and would be a lot harder to cool in such a small chassis. When it comes to the GPU, Asus also opted for an efficiency-optimized chip, the RX 6800S. With up to 105 watts of power draw, this laptop can push some serious frames even in its native QHD resolution. The 7nm chip is well equipped for all kinds of games and with a few exceptions, like Cyberpunk 2077, can maintain above 60 FPS in high or even ultra settings. We just wished AMD would have added a bit more than 8GB of RAM, since modern games tend to exceed that amount of ReRAM easily. We tested more than 40 games to get an idea of the RX 6800's performance inside the G14. And again, please follow the link up here to get a detailed look at all our findings and tests. As I said, the RDNA 2 chip offers amazing performance in Full HD and even QHD, and gets you around the same FPS as an Nvidia RTX 3070. At least as long as you don't primarily play RTX games, since those are still not AMD's strong suit. Noise levels while gaming or working depend mostly on the chosen profile in the Armoury Crate software. While performance mode is actually quite tolerable, turbo mode is definitely begging for headphones. Such high-end components in such a small chassis put out a lot of heat, and it's no different story for the G14. Both the GPU with around 80 degrees and the CPU with around 90 degrees are getting quite toasty after an hour of torture testing, even though this is well within AMD's specs. Thankfully, the areas you often touch while gaming or working are getting only slightly warmer, but admittedly the areas on the exhaust vents are getting quite warm too. ROG's decision to opt for powerful but energy efficient components result in very impressive battery life, making the G14 an even better travel companion. Around 9.5 hours of Wi-Fi web browsing is insanely impressive for such powerful hardware. In addition, the small laptop can provide almost the same CPU performance on battery. Only the GPU takes a pretty big hit with about 40% lower scores overall. Alright folks, time to wrap things up. The G14 feels as unique and special as last year when it was first introduced. Asus improved in almost every aspect and made an even more compelling product for both work and play. While there are only slight improvements to CPU performance, GPU performance got a massive boost compared to last year's RTX 3060, making the RX 6800S an incredible choice for the also amazing 120Hz QHD display. We just wished it would have had more than 8GB of ReRAM and a more balanced power draw in performance mode. As always guys, our written reviews offer a lot more detail to everything I just have talked about, and you can compare different devices to your heart's content. So please make sure to head on over to our website, you can find a link in the description below. If you have any further questions about the G14, please make sure to put them in the comments below and our team of editors will try to answer them all for you. If you like what we are doing here, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, my name's Alex and I see you all in the next one.